Hello, everybody. This is my second ever live here on YouTube. And honestly, I don't even know if you can hear me okay, but I hope so. And the reason I wanted to go live is because this channel has changed a lot. And I haven't really talked to you, the subscribers, or those of you who come around the channel. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to do so. And I wanted to just take us back in time to the kind of inception or start of this channel. And when I first started this channel, this was not intended to be anything but uh, a place where I shared little videos and clips, and they were specifically clips that I thought were cool or fun. So if you go to the very beginning, like the oldest video that I have, there's a video of me uh, flipping off of a container. There are some very short clips of me doing some gymnastics and trampoline work. And at that time, what I was doing was I was working with fitness and gymnastics, and I was dedicating it to the action sports athlete. And my goal was to break into that scene, break into the action sports industry as a performance strength and conditioning coach that could help these athletes maximize their effort on the slopes or on the streets if they were skaters, and in any um, other craft that they would pursue. And fast forward to 2007. Now I have a little company, and this company is called Naka Athletics. Naka in Japanese is inside, and athletics, as the name well states, is all about physical performance applied to sport. And that original company, Naka Athletics, was intended to become the support system or umbrella company that would allow me to express myself as a coach in support of these action sports athletes, these freestyle athletes. And if you go back to the origin of the channel, you'll see that there's a video that is titled "What is Naka Athletics?" And that was my first kind of interview video that I ever did, and it was cool. It was just a way of representing what I believed in and what I was trying to do. Now, at that time, CrossFit had already popped into my life, and what I didn't realize was that CrossFit was going to basically take over my whole life. I didn't realize that I was going to fall into the world of CrossFit the way that I did, and start leveraging everything that I had built up until that point, which was being a gymnast who now was in fitness and strength and conditioning, and trying to apply it to the action sports athlete that I thought was going to be a snowboarder, a skier, a skateboarder, but turned out to be a completely different type of athlete. And this athlete being the CrossFit athlete. And something very interesting that happened at the time, which was 2007, 2008, when I got into CrossFit, is that CrossFit.com, the website, was doing exactly what I thought would be the path forward online for my business. And of course, they were doing it way better, were way ahead. So, of course, I leaned into working with the CrossFit community and creating content for the CrossFitter. And specifically, what I was doing was I was creating content that was gymnastics based with the intention of creating awareness in how people moved applied to CrossFit in a way that allowed them to produce a signature style of movement, a signature expression, a unique way of moving specifically for CrossFit. And that was my intention all along. And my thesis was that if one understood the foundation of movement, physical movement, one could create transferable skills, and these transferable skills allowing you to maximize your effort. And that's when I started producing content and launched my website, Gymnastics WOD. So gymnasticswod.com was the moment. This was November 28th of 2010, was the moment my career as a coach saw this huge inflection point and all of a sudden skyrocketed. And there, now I started sharing content just like CrossFit.com was doing, which would have a workout of the day. And in addition to that, I would share progression tutorials, so movement progression tutorials. And these lived on gymnasticswad.com at first. And eventually, they started being uploaded to this channel right here that most of you are subscribed to because of that. And if you're here listening, either right now, I think there are 5 of you right now. Thank you for being here. If you're listening on the replay, just know that I appreciate every single one of you. And this is an aside, but one of my biggest, I don't know if it's regrets, but it's the sense of I missed something back in the day. Was I'm bummed in a way that I didn't get to connect with you, that I couldn't reach across the screen, break that fourth wall, as they say in movies, to connect to you and really let you in on what I was trying to do beyond that which you saw online. And this is very important to me these days because what shapes me and excites me is knowing who you are and connecting with you and being able to develop that. And thankfully, I got to do that through my seminars, which was an amazing experience because it let me travel all around the world and uh, meet people who were engaging with my content and get to work with them in person. That was really special. But that was only so many. There were way more viewers and subscribers than people attending my seminar. Thus, I always felt like something was missing or I left something out. And I just wish I could have done a better job. I just don't know how I would have done it. Anyways, but here I am. Hello. Many years later, still creating content, still doing things around fitness, but doing it in a completely different way than I was in the past. And I've received a lot of comments and messages from you, the subscribers, uh, the people who care about this channel to some degree, asking me, what is going on with this channel? What is this even? I don't even know what it is. Well, it's it's just an expression of my evolution as a person and as a coach. So, where are we today? Well, today we are in a place where Gymnastics WOD, what was the original content that became semi popular around the world, turned into Freestyle Connection, and Freestyle Connection being the evolution of Gymnastics WOD, the transcending the functional fitness space and into, I don't know what it was, but returning back to those roots of saying, I can work with people outside of CrossFit too that need this information, and the brand Gymnastics WOD just felt a little limited, and it became Freestyle Connection. In 2015, I started developing a team of people and coaches that I was going to be working with. And I nurtured those relationships and I worked with them for several years. And after many years of trying to get the business off the ground, unfortunately, I fell short because of many reasons. But one of the reasons was I had a big separation from a business partner in 2014, which happened to be when I also released my book, Freestyle. And thus, Freestyle Connection being at the forefront of what I was sharing, still movement based, applied to functional fitness. But the breakup and separation from this business partner was extremely painful, hurt me financially to a degree I barely survived, and it had me overworking in a way that was literally killing me. I was 140 pounds, could barely get out of bed. Everything was hurting. I was always on the road traveling. I started doing seminars just to make money so that I could cover my expenses. It was a bad situation, but thankfully I overcame that. Unfortunately, in 2019, in August, I started to feel some depression, and I had physical ailments that I needed to attend to. One of them being having tinnitus, this consistent, persistent ringing in my ear, and it was just driving me absolutely nuts. So I got to a point where I just decided that it was time to make a change, and the change had to be drastic. So I decided to close my company, Freestyle Connection. And I had to tell the coaches that I was working with at the time that were heavily invested that this was the end of the road for us. And we all cried. It was really sad, but it had to happen. And that's when I started my, for lack of better words, healing process. And something that had been brewing since 2017 was this idea of becoming a lifestyle coach, and specifically doing it through what I call lifestyle design, which is simply organizing your life in a way that produces the outcomes that you seek. I decided to make my transition as a coach in line with the concepts of lifestyle design. And I had a couple of private clients that I had already started working with, and I had proof of concept. So, what I did was I chose to embark on this new adventure, and I booked myself out to tour the world again, but now in a more deliberate fashion, dedicated to lifestyle design. And this was 2020. And I had my first commitment was in Beijing, China in 2020 for January. Come December, I get a message from those who were hosting me saying, "Hey, sales aren't going too well, and there's a virus here. So we're going to have to check back in and see if we can make it happen." Fast forward to January, of course, we had to cancel. Uh, Everybody knows what happened. Pandemic breaks out. And what I thought was going to be a month or two eventually ended up becoming the whole year. So I had to cancel out my whole 2020. And that was a disaster because now I had booked out this whole tour that was going to financially support me to make it through 2020 and rebuild this next chapter. But I had to refund everyone and lost it all again. And then in my attempt of bringing this into an online space, I completely failed. I was unable to transition my business that I did in person into an online practice around lifestyle design. It simply didn't work. My formula for um, adding value in the way that I did with gymnastics squad and in the fitness space just didn't translate. And I was using a formula that didn't fit until around, I guess it was September of 2020. I decided, okay, what I need to do is instead of going surface level and going just quick hits with the people that I'm working with and casting a broad net, I'm just going to narrow it down and focus on people who are in a transition in their life and that need to attend to their mental and emotional state of being. So I created this 4 week workshop called the Interface, which was all about communicating with oneself based on some very simple practices such as writing, meditating and breath work, movement, and creativity. And I launched this. I did this in November of 2020. And bam, I finally broke through. This was a thing that actually worked. And I was very excited about this because I needed this breakthrough. I'd been craving this for many years, and it had been in the works for 7 years or so. So that was exciting. And come 2021, now I'm deep in it and working through this interface and doing it online and liking the results that I'm producing. But something just felt like it was missing. And what was missing was being able to create information or share information around the interface that could be meaningful to you, the subscriber. And in my attempt of organically sharing that which was a transition for me, in many ways I neglected you, and I neglected to share with you what I was doing. And I have reasons for doing that, but one of them was simply fear of not knowing how to communicate with you that which I was working through. And I'm not sure why that was, but I simply struggled with this idea of telling you that I'm no longer teaching movement based um, I'm no longer doing movement based programming, and now I'm working with the mind and the emotions. Furthermore, I had this imposter syndrome of thinking, well, who am I to tell you what you think or feel? I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just a dude who happened to find success in the world of fitness because I had the right information at the right time, and had the right intention and willingness to work hard. So, yeah, it was a just been it had been a very challenging time. And something that started to happen was that I had maximized towards the end of 2021 the number of people that were interested in going through the interface experience. Yes, I could have promoted it a little bit more. Yes, I could have done a little bit more marketing and gone a little harder on sales. But I realized that I'm not so excited about selling education. I have always said that education should be free. In fact, everything that I was doing here originally was free. And as soon as I started putting a paywall on it, that's when my business actually started going down. And I put a paywall on it because I was tired. And uh, quite frankly, I assumed that people would be willing to pay. But that was a mistake on my end. I just didn't know. So now I'm coming back to that place where I can finally start sharing all my best stuff for free. And I don't know exactly how to do it in a way that could be exciting for you or super practical or engaging for you, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to try by doing this right now, going live in this moment. And I see a few messages coming through from Javier Fraga says, "You're the man, my go-to CrossFit dude for skill practice." That's amazing. It means so much. And then Kalo Yan, I hope that's right. "Love you and all the things you've done. Your book is front of me, in front of me." Very cool. I mean, this is super powerful. So thank you for that. Those comments mean a ton. I mean, if you're listening right now, we're live. Yeah, feel free to comment, share what you're thinking. Hit the little thumb button so I know that this is landing. If you're just kind of passing by and this makes no sense, then a happy scrolling and navigating the internet and YouTube. Um, yeah, I want to connect with you. I want to learn more about you. So please, um, let me know what you're thinking as I'm sharing. Regardless, so the reason I'm doing this live was because I had a little time right now, and I felt like connecting with you, and I wanted to give you an update on what this channel is. And you've probably seen that one of the things that I've been doing is podcasting. I'm running this podcast. I started this podcast 4 years ago and I've failed. I've failed so many times. It's ridiculous, but I'm trying to fail forward. Anyways, this podcast, the Freestyle Way podcast, I started 4 years ago. I did a few months of it, let go of it. Then I did 6 months, let go. 6 months, let go again. Pandemic hit, and now I've been going for 7 months since I restarted it, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to keep going because I want to connect with people who are interesting. I want to extract information that can be valuable. I want to learn how to communicate with you in a way that it can be helpful to you. And I'm excited to explore that. So a lot of the clips that you will see here on YouTube will be full episodes of the podcast. In fact, YouTube right now has created a space for podcasters, and when you create a playlist around a podcast, that podcast playlist lives as if it was a streaming platform for podcasts specifically. So there's a lot happening within the space. So podcasting is one thing. Now, if you don't listen to podcasts on YouTube, of course, you can go and listen to it anywhere else. My podcast is available there too. It's called the Freestyle Way. So you'll see that here on the channel. The other thing I'm wondering is, I don't know, this conversation right here, this is something that I really crave. I crave connecting with you and knowing who you are. So, for example, right now, the 9 of you who are listening, where are you tuning in from? Let me know in the chat. It would be great to know where it's happening. I know that analytics, my analytics say that you are coming from the US, from Australia, from Sweden, Canada. But other than my analytics, I haven't heard from a real person. So feel free to comment and let me know. LA, SoCal, fantastic, very cool. So now I know in California, I'm up in the Bay Area. I'm just south of San Francisco, the city. So that's where I am. Anyway, that's a little bit of what you can expect from the channel, and eventually, as I get a little bit more bandwidth, I would like to produce content that can be a heavier hitter, more practical, shareable, useful for you. And if there's anything that you're seeking or curious about, send me questions. I would love to be able to answer them. And if I can answer them in YouTube format and make it so that your question applies to more people, then let's go. That would be insane. Okay, D. Williams says London, UK. Fantastic. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you being here and making this possible. And I'm curious, anybody watching right now, have you ever been to one of my seminars? Have we met in person? Let me know. There's so many faces, so many people that I've met in person, but it was so quick for me that I never got to connect with them in depth. And it's something that I just crave deeply. So yeah, let me know in the chat right now. Okay, so what happened last year that has completely reshaped what I'm doing? Well, I got a call from a friend of mine, B-Boy Wicket, who I've had on the podcast. I've featured here on the channel a few times. And he said to me that breaking it's called, is going to the Olympics in Paris 2024. And they had just had their first camp for Team USA and they needed some support. So he said, "Is there any chance you can come in and do uh, some advising for us and consulting in terms of how we can improve as a team, how we can improve as coaches, how we can structure ourselves, and maybe connect with some of the athletes." So I did that, and it was a great experience because I got to see the inception of an art becoming a sport and on the path to being featured on the biggest platform in sports, collective sports, which is the Olympics. And fast forward a few months, I was heavily connected with the coaches, heavily connected with the governing body. I was in conversation with the USOPC and with all the athletes. But I realized that my role was not to be part of Team USA, but rather be a support system for the greater community of breaking and to work with a few leaders within the space that could maximize the efforts that breaking is taking on to break through into new levels of representation, and basically bringing breaking to the masses. And I'll share who I'm working with right now. One of the people that I'm working with is called Gravity, B-Boy Gravity, B-Boy Jeffro, B-Girl Sunny, B-Girl Lavix, and B-Girl Randy. And they are all amazing athletes who have amazing careers in breaking and are still paving a path. And the reason I'm working with those five, and this is the first time I've ever said this actually publicly, is because I have developed a personal relationship with them, and something that I am taking on as a role right now is as a support system for them that looks like a business manager. And I'm doing business management for them not because I am the best business person or entrepreneur, but rather because I have an experience of being in their position through gymnastics, through CrossFit as a coach, where I was sponsored by Reebok. I had all these endorsements, and I made a lot of mistakes that I wish I had known how to rectify at the time and learn from, but I was too late. I didn't have that in my corner. So I've helped them build their own unique teams. I'm helping them develop their business. I'm helping them identify how they want to navigate their career path and how they can do this in a way that supports them and also supports breaking, and then gives breaking the opportunity of having access to people who have never been able to engage with it. And the reason is because breaking, although I'm not a breaker, I'm not a break dancer, I don't come from that place, but breaking has influenced the way that I think more than any craft out there. And everything that you saw on this channel and everything that I was teaching had an anchor in breaking. And this goes back to when, as I mentioned earlier, my friend B-Boy Wicket took me out to South Korea to attend an event called R16. And I realized that breaking was something way bigger than I could potentially, that I could at that time conceive, and that I had to learn from it. And the more I learned from it, the better my thinking became, the better my understanding of movement became, the better I was able to communicate with people within the CrossFit space, outside of the CrossFit space, and really maximize this thesis that I had of skill transferability. And that idea of skill transferability from a physical perspective now has transcended into the mental, emotional, and business, and specifically through solopreneurship. So, what is it that I'm doing right now? Well, right now, I am a performance based life coach, which means that I'm a life coach. I do lifestyle design, and I anchor all that in emotional fitness. And emotional fitness being the ability that you, I all have to turn our emotions into performance that produces good results, meaning results that you need. In addition to that, I am performance based because I not only take care of the mental and emotional, but I make sure that the physical is tuned up and on point. And when the physical is tuned up and on point, then it can translate into the creative and into the business side or business development of what one does. And this being the core of solopreneurship in the world of action sports, art, and fitness expressed through competition. So I'm working with coaches, I'm working with athletes, and I'm working with artists. And the breakers happen to be all of those. They're teachers, they're athletes, and they're artists all in one. And it's an amazing experience, and it's shaping all of that which I'm doing these days. So what am I doing now? Well, that's what it is. I'm working on managing these breakers, working with individual customers and clients that I have who are either coaches, athletes, or creatives, and I do one-on-one coaching with them. In addition to that, I host a private group mentorship program called the Freestyle Insider. You can join it. It has a monthly subscription, and every Monday, we have a live call. The other thing that I do is I have this thing which is called the Ask You Anything, which allows you to become a guest on my podcast. And there I ask you questions, I interview you, and then I help you process your answers and your thinking in a way that allows you to um, make your thinking more robust and allow you to have practical application to that which you care about. And it's been a huge success. I've been loving every second of it. I've been doing it for a year now. And in addition to that, in the Freestyle Insider, in this private group, I also have archived the entirety of the freestyle seminar, the freestyle connection seminar I was teaching. I have all of my programs that were launched with the book. I have workshops that I've taught. I have this thing called the Coach's Corner where people can upload movement or videos or ask questions, and they'll get feedback from me directly and from the community. So there's a lot going on there, and it's pretty exciting to see that happening. And then I have this channel, this YouTube channel. And this YouTube channel is a place that I want to come back to. And I am going to slowly and at the best of my abilities to do that. And that's why I'm here today, to just say hello. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is where I've been. This is where I intend to be going, and that I would love to be able to connect with you in some way. And just seeing the messages coming through here in the chat is amazing. So Javier, for example, says, haven't met in person, but I've seen almost all your seminars on your YouTube channel. See, that's incredible. And we've never met in person, and here you are. And it seems like breaking in Bulgaria is happening as well. Let's see. I saw the videos back in 2012 about the handstands and freestyle, and I found the book on Amazon and I bought it. Amazing. Thank you so much. Um, as you said earlier, it's in front of you. Exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing is the book also lives on. Freestyle, you can find it on Amazon and other outlets. And that was my thesis on movement. And now I'm working on my thesis for business development for the artist, athlete. And hopefully it will be something that is of value and significant to those who engage with it. That's that's my intention. I can't do anything more than that. And this feels like the new beginning of what could be something special. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. There are still a few of you watching live. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the chat. Other than that, just stay tuned. My latest guest on the podcast was Jose Canales. Jo Canales. He is Checo Perez, who is a Formula One driver, drives for Red Bull Racing, who is very talented and has won several Grand Prix. His performance coach, Jo Canales, is on my podcast this week, and we talk about everything ranging from how he got into Formula One and what he's doing with his business and what he thinks about. So if you're interested in listening to that, it's available here on YouTube right now or on all other platforms where you listen to podcasts. Let's see. Javier says brings to mind Ido Portal, but not holistic with the emotional aspects. Yeah, Ido Portal is an amazing movement practitioner. In fact, I got to meet him in 2014. Had lunch with him, and it was one of the reasons when I met him that I felt like I could move on from focusing on movement because there was somebody in the world that was doing it better than I did, and that felt really good to me. Let's see what else Javier is saying. Used to practice when I was younger. Curious, what have you learned from them? So from breaking. So what I've learned from breaking is interesting actually, is that there are levels to movement. So you have top rock, which is standing, then you have footwork, which is closer to the ground, then you have power, which is in the air, and then you have freezes, which are these static poses that you mark to accentuate a set. And you do this all to the music. And that movement based on rhythm is where the highest level of creativity exists. And being able to connect one movement to the next is what requires one, a universal shape, something that it looks like a push up, for example, but done in a way that has the most amount of transferable opportunities, meaning that putting your arm in a certain position while performing a push up is the one that's going to elicit the ability that you have to connect one movement to the next. In this regard, something that I did in my book, and it this is the thing that is so crazy, is that I think this is the most valuable thing that I wrote in my book, which is this idea of blocking movement, which is the thesis is that the closer you can get to the anatomical position, meaning the position that you see in the anatomy books, when performing any movement, you will be able to identify what shapes your body has to get into to create the most effective, efficient, best application of force and transferability in your movement patterns. And starting from there is where the beginning of all progressions occur. So that's what I've learned from breaking, and it's been super fun. Let's see. You're applying movement techniques to the breakers. Yes, I am. I've been talking about this for a while, but the good news is that now there's so many practitioners out there, so many movement practitioners out there that have this information readily available and can speak about it better than I can at times. Of course, they're deep in it, so I basically become a translator. That's what I do. I help the athlete understand how to work with certain professionals. So if somebody's working with a physical therapist, let's say an athlete goes and works with a physical therapist, whatever the physical therapist is trying to say technically, I apply it to the language of breaking or the language of the athlete or artist that I'm working with. So that's part of the work that I do. I'm a translator, but I'm also a manager or a co-pilot. I basically help you captain your ship. Let's see. D. Williams says, "Do you think you will do CrossFit videos again, or is this something that you have progressed from?" I also have your book. Very cool. I don't think I'll do CrossFit videos again, but I would like to get back into the CrossFit world. It's just that I would like to get back into the CrossFit world in a way where I can help the CrossFitter, the athlete, and the coach express themselves in a way that goes beyond CrossFit. I think one of the things that happens is, and CrossFit is amazing, and I wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am without CrossFit. So that's the first thing. But I also believe that when we only speak the language of CrossFit, or we start using jargon, or we can only see movement and performance through that lens, we are limiting the accessibility of the practice and the benefits of them. Thus, we need to become universal speakers in a way that we can translate our understanding into individualized expressions. What does this mean? This means that we need to be able to speak universal languages that allow us to see across all domains, and then to code switch. This is just like a cultural thing. Code switch into speaking with different niches or individuals so that those concepts can land and become meaningful. Furthermore, doing this in a way that allows us to get the feedback that informs the universal language and makes it better. That's one of the things that I would like to do. And there are certain individuals within the space that are totally capable of doing this. And those are the ones that are, as athletes, at the tail end of their career, or just kind of getting started to the point where they're growing some roots and they're starting to grasp a deeper understanding of their practices. And I think those are the ones that I would love to talk to. And the coaches, of course, are key. So, yeah, I may do CrossFit videos, but they most likely won't be movement videos unless something happens where now with a new style of programming that you're seeing the CrossFit Games with Adrian Bosman, that they want to integrate some movements that look more like an Ido Portal type or a breaking type expression, then maybe I would come in and I would help with that. But as I said, there are people out there that I work with that I believe could do a better job than I can. Thus. I would like to pass the torch if so. But if the time comes and the feeling is right, yeah, I would totally do that. Yeah, ultimately, I want to help individuals develop their business in a way where they can have something that is self sustainable and can serve as a vehicle to take them wherever they want to go and to make that something that is successful. And something that is successful is something that has proper succession. And something that I've lacked in my success is producing that succession, which is creating a seamless progression. And once again, that's why I'm here talking to you today. Anyways, I hope this clarified a little bit, and I appreciate those of you who were in the chat. D. Williams, Javier, uh, Kaloyan, I think that's the name, Kaloyan. Thank you for checking in. Those of you who are here right now watching, thank you for being here. And stay tuned for more. If this live was interesting and I should stream more, I'm happy to do that. I could also do a lot of commentary on what we're seeing in the scene. So if you have any videos that you would like for me to talk about or share here and share my insights, I would be happy to do that. If you have any specific questions around solopreneurship, hit me up. If you want to talk about movement and you feel like I could be a person that could answer those questions, ask me as well. I'll be paying attention. Yeah. And if you want to work with me, email me, carl@freestyleconnection.com. You can also find all the information on freestyleconnection.com. You can find me on all social media platforms. DM me, let's chat, and we'll make something happen. For now, much love. Appreciate you all, and I'll see you soon. Peace.